let us now quickly move on to the 8 blocks of money, right? And these are absolutely, some of these you might be knowing, some of these probably you might not be knowing. So just be with an open mind and then just let this sink inside you, right? The first thing is belief patterns, and will not devote much time here because already quite a few speakers here on this platform have spoken about it. And it says that there are belief patterns that we feel that money will come through our work only. And when we limit that self, we have limiting beliefs that money is going to come through our work. It is not going to come through any kind of a lottery or any kind of things. Probably something. My wife actually, she unexpectedly, they had a property, and when my mother-in-law passed away around a few years back, and unexpectedly there was a property which they had taken in Gujarat, and that was around 25-30 years back. And all of a sudden they had just forgotten that property, and all of a sudden came one day a news that okay, that property has come back to you, and then that property is there for you. And that property was worth somewhere around 50 lakhs or something of that. So money can come through anything. We just feel that money can come through our work only, and this is where we limit our money beliefs. And when we say that more work is more money, that is a belief pattern. We always have that psychological thinking. We want to work more, we want to work more, or we want to work hard, and only through hard work can more money come. There are so many people, you see, they don't work that hard, or they don't work more, but then they earn more money, right? Money can buy you happiness, money can always buy you pleasure, but never happiness, because happiness is an internal state of mind, right? Money is the root of all evil, and we'll just go through this quickly. Money is not everything. So all these things which are belief patterns, these are belief patterns which have been embedded at some point of, which have come into us at some point or other throughout our life journeys, isn't it? And these have got embedded as into our subconscious mind, and we have become that now. Now, this is something which is very interesting. There are decisions which we have in childhood. There have been decisions we have taken, and these through incidents which have happened, and these are called fundamental childhood decisions. And these generally happen between the age of, right from the mother's womb, right, of course, until the age of say 7 majorly, and then after that also, say till around 14, we are affected by whatever incidents come on us. So, for example, if there has been your toy, you have carried that toy all along, and then this toy has been your favorite toy, and one day there is some bully who's come, and he's just taken this or snatched this toy away. And it is at that time that this toy is gone out of your hands, and it is that at that time, that particular shock that gets embedded into your subconscious mind, that whatever I love the most, or whatever is my most favorite thing, it will be people will cheat me of it. And at that time, because that particular thing, that incident has happened, the subconscious mind has actually taken a decision that whatever is my favorite thing, most favorite thing, or the most lovable thing, it will go away. And as we grow up into our lives, into our adult lives, probably the money, if we love money, or for that matter relationships also, but we'll not, as the relationships are not in the ambit of this summit, we'll not get more into it. But then, yeah, if you're loving money, then definitely there can be people who will come into your life and they will cheat you. And when there are 2 people, 3 people, 4 people who come into your life and then they cheat you, it means it's a pattern. And somewhere that pattern might have started from this fundamental childhood decision that somebody must have snatched something from you, which is most lovable to you, right? So that is one root cause, which is so as to say. The second thing, if we move on, it is about losing. Many times, you had that favorite kite, you had that favorite toy, you had that favorite maid, probably you were in love with, and then she kind of loved you the most. And then one day it so happened that she went away, or one day it so happened that that kite used to fly every day, that cricket bat you had, or anything for that matter which you had, which was very dear to you. And one day when you lose that, it is somewhere that grief of losing has got embedded in our subconscious mind. And we always have that insecurity develops at that point of time. We always have that insecurity that whatever is going to be my favorite, or whatever I'm going to love, one day it is going to go away. And it so happens that in adulthood, when we grow up and when we work, and then we lose money. Sometimes we lose money. We have come across so many people who say, "Manilu, that I am losing money. I've lost money to so and so schemes, so and so people, and so people who are not returning it back." So somewhere it has so happened that you lose money because somewhere in the childhood you have lost that particular thing which you love so dearly. And let me take you into a very practical example. There was this girl who had come to us, and she was actually fighting for an ancestral property. Now, as she was going through this, she was fighting tooth and nail for this ancestral property, but then she was not able to get it. And when we got into the sessions, and then it actually came up that when she was a kid, she actually used to see her father, her chacha, and uncles and aunts. They all fight for that, for an ancestral property. It is
Right.
at that time she made up a decision. I want peace of mind. I do not want ancestral property. It is a strict no for me, because that is going to ruin our peace of mind. It is going to ruin my life. And I would rather attribute more value to relationships than money. But then it so happened that as you grow up, life has different plans, isn't it? So as you grow up, it is at that time she feels that this ancestral property has to come to me because it's worth so much, and then I need it so much more than ever. But sadly, you do anything, but then that does not come to you because it is there in the subconscious mind. It is already embedded. You have already said that I do not want this money. How will this money come to you? Isn't it? So these
Right.
are these are some ways. So I'm just taking on three because we have a long session ahead. So just three of these, but then there are so many decisions, Neelu, which we make in childhood, and these are called fundamental childhood decisions, which actually shape up your life imprints or money imprints thereafter. The third thing which we get into is birth imprints, and yes, here the way we are born, the way we the way we come on, the way we come on this planet, that has a huge impact on our money worlds, a huge impact. And just to quote a couple, if there are obstacles, if there is a baby which is coming out of the mother's womb, and this baby is and many a times we have seen deliveries which have happened. There have been babies who have just come out in 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and there have been babies who are just stuck up coming out. It is like they are obstacles, like or sometimes, if in fact I was such a baby that my mom went to the hospital thrice, four times, and then she could not, because she felt that the labor pains have started. And then when she went to the hospital, then she was sent back. No, it's still not ready. And then it so happened. And then as you grow up, because there have been obstacles in your birth, as you grow up, there will be obstacles. There can be obstacles to a large extent in whatever you do. In whatever you do, be it a new project, be it a relationship, be it your money world, there will be a lot of obstacles. Why? Because the birth imprints are one of the primary imprints which we carry with us. And in many zones of our life, in many aspects of our life, this birth imprint is actually printed. It is just copied and pasted into our life. So till the time we don't get into clearing this, we will probably not able to come out of that thing. Now, there are some babies who actually require the support system to be pulled out. Like you have that forceps babies. So
Right.
you would always. In fact, I was also a forceps baby, coincidentally. So when the baby cannot come out by itself, by its own force, by its own inertia, it is there that it requires external assistance. And when it requires external assistance, then in many fields of the life, and speaking about specifically money, in the money field, you will get stuck up in some place wherein you will require an external assistance, probably a partner, or probably someone who will come and who will bail you out of that particular thing, or who will help you out by your own independent self. You will not be able to come out of it because you have been a forcer baby, and you are used to support. You feel that only by support I will be able to come out of that. So there is a very deep spiritual thing actually which goes into it, that connections, if you introspect very closely, you will come to know. And if there are people who know how they are born here in this room also, you all can just look into whether you all have copied pasted that thing. And I don't say all, I don't claim all, but lot of things are actually absolutely copied pasted with what happens with our birth imprints, right? The way we are born. And here I would like to uh, ask uh, everybody here a question, if you can just answer. Does our money world depend Does our money world or the money we earn today depend on those who have passed away in our lineage before us? If you all can answer yes or no in the group, please. Does our money world depend on those people who have passed away before us in our lineage? So as to say our grandfather, our great grandfather, our father, our mother. And I'm not talking about whatever you are inheriting the money. I'm not talking about the money which you have inherited, even if you have not inherited a single rupee from your father, from your parents. But is it that what you feel, and I would like to know your thoughts on it, is it that you feel that your money world is connected to them, or do you feel that your money world is not connected to them?
Yeah, yes, everyone's put in a yes. Interestingly, Lata has put in a no, and Rupali has written yes, ancestors have a lot to do with it. Yeah, there are yeses, yeses, yeses coming in. And as I said, there is, oh, and Dr. Ruxana also says no. Vaishali says no. And Ramila says no. So I can see a lot of yeses, and I can see a few no's that have come in.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you so much for this. So let's get on. We'll find it out.
Okay.
We'll find it out. So these are these parental ancestral connects. Money and many times when we get into little things, when we are little children, when we are, there are a lot of patterns which we actually inherit, and I am talking more about the parental ancestral patterns. If and with a little bit of introspection, we do it in our sessions. With a little bit of introspection on paper, you will be able to find out, on with a pen and paper, you will be able to find out as to what all you have inherited genetically from your parents and from your ancestors. We carry in us, we feel that we inherit only the looks or the mannerisms or the habits or things like that from our parents and ancestors. But when you inherit, we inherit the complete energy, so as to say. And when we inherit the complete energy, we say we inherit even the troubles, even the challenges, even the tragedies that have happened in their lives. And if you if you give it a little bit of introspection, you'll come to know so many illnesses today. If we get into the health zone, so many illnesses today, for example, diabetes, you see a father or a mother always will have diabetes and the son will have diabetes, and either of one of them or both of them will have diabetes if you have diabetes. And there have been a lot of things which are related to the parental ancestral things. There have been a lot of suicides. There have been a lot of things which are happening in the money zones which are connected to your ancestors. And if you see your father or mother had struggled for money, there is a very high chance that you also struggle for money. If your father, despite being the most talented, despite being the most able of them all, was not able to make it, definitely there is very little chance that you will be able to make it if you have inherited those genetically or in the DNA. And these are called hereditary patterns, and they affect your life. They affect your life hugely. And that answers a very fundamental question: why are rich people rich and poor people poor? Isn't it? Because rich people, they inherit rich DNA. If there is a multimillionaire, automatically a baby which is born in their family, by default, even without he or she, that baby working, he has already become a multimillionaire because that baby is born in a lineage where there is huge money, isn't it? And that is why poor people, they try so much, they work so hard, but then somehow they are not able to, because they are bound by their own genes, they are bound by their own DNA. So there are a lot of things, and with just a little bit of introspection of around 15 minutes to half an hour on a piece of paper and a pen, we can detect what are the patterns which you have inherited, which today are not allowing you to move ahead in your money zones. And this can be, I recently came across of course, a year back, there was a person I came across, and he had actually gone through a huge loss of around 80 odd lakh rupees. And I asked him, the first question when he came in touch with me, I asked him, did your father or mother face any kind of such loss? He said, yes, my father, when he was around 40 to 50 years back, when he was that age, he had suffered a loss of around 5 to 8 lakhs. And then that took him 5 to 8 years back. And then he was down with depression and all these sorts of things which come along with that. And he is somewhere around 45, 46 now, and he's inherited the same thing. Possibly 5 to 8 lakhs in those times are almost equivalent to around 50 to 80 lakhs here these times. And that is exactly what is. And so today, just look into whether what is happening in your life, in your money world, whether your father or mother has also gone through the same, whether your father has also lent money to someone and they have actually cheated your father out of that money, or your grandfather, or your any of your uncle, aunt, or your mother. If yes, and you are actually facing the same thing or a similar thing, then definitely it is a parental ancestral connects. And yes, our parents, our ancestors, they actually rule our money worlds to a lot extent, right? And in these cases, healings don't matter at all, because if there is something which is ancestral, then definitely we need to get into a proper ancestral healing so as to release them. So
Right.
let me take you into a couple of testimonials here. So there is this lady from Mumbai, and this is all these both are in lockdown. I don't know what has started moving after the ancestral ritual, and this is what we teach in one of the sessions. But after a long time, I got work in higher volumes. I do subtitling and voice to text conversations. I got work for 35 episodes of a serial. Perhaps my ancestors are sensing my struggles and blessed me when I was very anxious. So it
Amazing.
is, yeah. So Neelu, even if it is not caused by the ancestral, it is not an ancestral problem, so as to say, or it is not a hereditary problem, but it can be resolved with the blessings of your ancestors. The divine world is here up. The ancestral world is here, and the direct effect comes from our ancestral world. If our ancestors are not appeased, whatever pujas, whatever we do, that particular grace will not come to us. Those blessings will not come to us. The result of that will not come to us till the time our ancestors are not appeased. And that is where you see the second testimonial says, I think the life transformation did the work for me. I got the project from a US company that will be launching in the second quarter in Mumbai. It is a very big and ambitious project worth, and of course, he spelled it out later. It is 10 million US dollars. And right now I'm executing their pre-launch phase. And this is
Wow.
Vijay Sharma from New Delhi. So this is,
Amazing.
yeah. So,
And
yeah, yeah.
this is no, seriously. I just hearing about Vaidehi and Vijay, absolutely amazing. And like you said, both these things have happened right now in the recent months during this entire
Yeah. These are
that we're
testimonies
all
from the
going
lockdown.
through from the lockdown. Fantastic. In fact, Vijay, very quickly here, Rupali is written in that saying that I can attest to my ancestors on both sides having huge monies, land, etc., and then both grandparents and parents losing everything. And what would you say to that? And Preeti has also written in saying that, but uh, then does it not depend on ancestors? Why two brothers in the same family has a different story? Can you explain that?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, but then if it depends on ancestors, why two brothers in the same family has a different story? Can you explain that?
Yeah. So what you inherit, of course, this is outside the purview of the discussion which we are doing now, which we cover it in our session. But of course, since you have asked, I'll answer that. What you're going to inherit from your parents or from your ancestors, you don't know till the time
Right.
it manifests in your life. For example, my sister, she's in the UA, she's in Dubai, and she's doing good and happy-go-lucky. Absolutely, she never faced any kind of monetary issues. She never faced all these mental, emotional things or whatever the life journey I went through. She's been a happy-go-lucky. But I inherited these patterns from my father, from my mother's side, from that. She inherited some different patterns. She inherited more patterns of happiness, more patterns of prosperity. And I actually inherited more patterns of lack or scarcity or things like that. So even if there are two brothers or sisters, two siblings, it is not necessary that both of them are going to inherit the same thing always. They will always inherit some things which are common, some things which are absolutely different, some things which are totally different. So that is how it goes on.
Right. So Radha has written in, isn't it like DNA inheritance or the diseases? Some get it, some don't.
Absolutely.
Right. Right. And in fact, Sahib has very quickly written in for you. Vijay sir is always clear cut and straight, no illusions.
Thank you so much, Saibra. Thank you so much.
That was a wonderful explanation, Vijay. And in fact, people are writing in as well. So true. Wow, wonderful explanation. So please.
Yeah, thank you so much. So the fifth point, the fifth block, which we look into, and this is about wrong scope of work, and we actually attach so little value to this, but then there are so many people today more than 80 to 90% people today who are in wrong scopes of work. And I've written here 70, but then, yeah, more than 80 to 85, 90 people, I would say with conviction, at least all those who I have come across are in wrong fields of work. That means they are meant to do something different, but then they are doing something different. They have specialized into something else, and then they are doing something. So what happens is that we actually do work on ourselves birth after birth. So whatever work we have done probably at a very good this thing with a lot of success in our previous lives, we bring along with us as a mutant power in this life. And what happens is that so many of us just get into the wrong specs of work. There was an enlightened master I came in touch around 4 years back, and he said, Vijay, what do you do? I said, I'm into computer IT hardware. And he said that, oh, is it? Your business is going to shut down, Vijay. And he just told me so casually, and I asked him, why? As it is, I was not happy. That was a different thing. He said, no, you will enter into spirituality business and you will transform many people's lives. And at that time, I was like, oh, I don't know what is spirituality business. How can you do business in spirituality? And how can you do that? I'm hardly struggling to transform my own life. So how would that be? He said, yes, it is a divine plan. It will be. Don't get into the computer thing. Just forget that thing and get into this, and this will help you. And then, of course, yes, as he did, I shut down my business, and I got into this thing, and it's going absolutely wonderful. So it's basically like, can you imagine Sachin Tendulkar playing football or Maradona playing cricket?
No, can't imagine.
How bad it would be, isn't it?
And Maradona also wondering no.
So that is what it is, and that is what is happening. If we are Sachin Tendulkars, we are playing football today, more than 80% of us, isn't it? We need to understand what mutant power which we are born with, and what we are made for. Even a hammer which is there is made to actually hit the nail on the wall, isn't it? But what we are doing is that hammer is just used as a paperweight on our table, isn't it? We are just misusing, or we are not simply using the hammer at all. And that is what it is. There is so much talent into us in a particular field, but we are just leaving aside that field and we are just getting into something different because of so many things, isn't it?
Right. May I add something here very quickly?
Absolutely.
Vijay, something personal only. Exactly as you said, there are these patterns that we grow up with. So I think part of I'm an independent woman. I will go out and work was, I think, somewhere a precondition that if you don't step out to work, you're not an independent woman. And I did work in a few companies and I gained a lot of experience there. I have full gratitude for that. But I also learned that I'm not meant for office jobs. I'm just not meant for that. I would get unhappy really soon. And every time I would leave, it was like, everything's fine. Why am I feeling this way? And it would really get me down because I thought that I was not cut out to survive in these situations. And then I felt that I wasn't being independent and I wasn't standing up for myself. And many years ago, I just took a chance and said, whatever happens, I'm just going to freelance with whatever comes my way. And there's been no looking back after that. So, and of course, from the time that I've been at Mystic Lotus, there's definitely been no looking back. So yeah.
And you see, Neelu, I'll just give you that one word. The way you say awesome and the way 100 people together would say awesome, the energy is absolutely there. And you are such a perfect host, and you are meant for this, because when you speak, it is not that we need to dig out something from ourselves and speak automatically with the flow. There is something which probably we have not prepared, and of course all the healers who have come before me, they will agree to this, that probably there is nothing which we have, there is something which we have not prepared in the script to say, but then in your presence, in that aura, things flow out, because you being such a perfect host, because you are meant for this. And that is what happens. You see people day in, day out, when you are meant for something, things will happen. And very interestingly, there is, I stay in Mumbai, and then there is a guy I used to stay in Thane in Mumbai, and there was a guy in Thane who used to make pani puris, very famous pani puris, and his name was Dilip. And he's an LLB by profession, but he makes pani puris. There are people who come to him queue to eat the pani puris, and beautiful. It so happens that he sells those pani puris also. You have that water separately and then the puris separately. You go home The same thing what he prepares, he'll give you from the same thing, from that same this thing. And then when you take it home and then you make it, the taste is different, because all the energies flows when he makes that and when he gives it to you, because he's made for that. So similarly, what we are made for plays an extremely important role in our lives. And most people are riding the wrong bus when it comes to their career. Decades ago, probably they made the wrong choice and they are still pursuing that. Does
I
it
just
make
want
sense,
to,
Deep? Yeah.
yes, absolute sense. And thank you for your lovely words, Vijay. I got a little overwhelmed, so I couldn't say thank you immediately. But from my heart, thank you so much for saying that. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you so much.
Right.
So money
And,
comes only. Yeah, yeah, Neil, go ahead.
no, I was saying, I was just reading that and I was like, yes.
So money does not come where there is no passion for work. Once there is passion for work, be it gardening also, money comes, money flows, absolutely flows. And we have Amit. Amit, you there?
Let me just check.
I think Amit has to.
Yes, he
Amit?
is here.
Yeah, Amit, can we take it up after 10 minutes? Can we bring you on in 10 minutes?
Right. And
Amit Pendurkar?
I don't know if Amit's on the group or not, but yes, if this is, I hope Amit, you're hearing. In about 10 minutes time, we're going to be getting you on. So yes.
Yeah. He's a busy man, and somehow on my request, he's come here. So
Fantastic.
Yeah. So the sixth block is our emotions, are our emotions. Of course, all our emotions are related to money, but then there are three things: anger, desperation, and impatience. And this is in the current times, which I'm talking about. Anger always exhibits the fire element. And wherever there is fire, it burns the bridges to success. So if you have been that angry man, of course, having said that, there are people who would say, oh, I don't get angry. This person just blowed off my fuse, and this person came to me. He spoke like this. He shouldn't have done like that. Why would I get angry? And in my own zone, I am never angry. I'm absolutely a cool guy, and cool as a cucumber. And then when somebody pricks me on the wrong side, I get angry. But then whenever there is anger, somewhere it is burning the bridges to success, because anger exhibits the fire element, and we have to be very careful in the coming times with anger. Right. Desperation repels things, and so much of desperation is going to creep up in the next 2 years or so from now. It is going to force you to take wrong decisions, this desperation of money. And whenever you're desperate about anything, that thing will never happen. That is why you see many times, if you have that kind of so much desperation running around you, and oh, this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen, that thing never happens. And when you just leave that desperation aside, and when you say, oh, I'm done with it, let it not happen, it is at that time that things will happen, things will manifest. So we need to leave aside desperation at this point of time. So any of you who's desperate here for money and you have joined here in desperation, please come out of that. And till the time you don't come out of that, and whenever I conduct any workshop, I always say, come with zero expectations. I have people here, I have someone here who has actually got crores, and I have one more lady, Rama, who's going to come in, who's actually also benefited in crores. But then I always say, whenever you come to my workshops, or any workshop for that matter, go with or come with zero expectations. Just be there with the processes. Just don't be, it has to happen for me, it has to happen for me. Just yesterday, Neelu, just to be very open with you and the group here, yesterday there was a case, and wherein there was this lady who has actually done quite a few courses from us, and she said that, would you take up a healing case, and wherein this person, he's actually lost money, and then he wants it back so desperately, and he says, I want money. I told her, I'm not going to take the case. I would advise you to not to take the case, because in desperation, the money is not going to come. With a rational mindset that you're going to pay 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 to a healer, and you want that crores or lakhs of money to come back to that will never happen. Because whatever can happen, it is all on the divine will. We just have to be in synchronization with the laws of the universe, and it is at that time that things happen. But in desperation, things will not happen. And impatience is a major life lesson. We all come here with 12 life lessons. One of them, if impatience is a life lesson for you, it is going to creep up. It is going to crop up rather now. And patience is the key, because the next 2 to 4 years are really on working on yourself, and not just running. I want the money now. I want the money now. I want the money. The more impatient you are, impatience always results in losses of money. if you are patient, then money will come to you, right?
Right.
So,
And very quick question, Vijay. This is about the previous, from the previous bit about being passionate about. Oh, wait, there's the word. We'll come to that soon.
okay.
There's a question in from Radha. He's saying, Vijayji, what about the passions or love? What we had for work 10 years ago no longer holds true now. How do we explain that?
That means you have still not found your life purpose. We can have some hobbies, we can have four things which we like, but then that one thing which actually it is, and you see all the greats, you pick up any great, you pick up Einstein, you pick up Maradona, we named Sachin Tendulkar, you pick up Amitabh Bachchan, you pick up anybody for that matter, you pick up Ronaldo. Everybody's made for that one particular thing, and that one particular thing is also called your purpose of life is in monetary terms. And once you discover your life purpose, that is your best bet to success. You can do any number of things. It is not that you don't do the other things. You do all the other things by all means. But then whatever is your mutant power, don't deny that. Do that. Do that as a part-time. But then, yeah, if there are four things you need to look into, of course, in our sessions, we get down into the detailed questionnaire and the detailed things where we get down into detecting that particular life purpose, which is there and which is meant for you. We have Amit Pendurkar here. We'll get him on in a while. His life purpose was when he came into one of our sessions. His life purpose was doing the guitar. Now, Amit Pendurkar is the son of the famous jewelers, Pendurkar Jewelers in Mumbai, in Parel and Dadar and all. So he's actually into app development. He makes beautiful apps, by the way, mobile apps. So his life purpose was actually also not into app development, although he had left he did not pursue his father's business, jewelry business, and he got into app development. But he discovered that his life purpose was playing the guitar. Today, in a week or in 10 days, he plays the guitar. He plays the guitar regularly, not for any kind of monetary gain, but for him to get connected to the divine force, for him to get connected to what he is meant for. And when you do that, automatically you benefit from whatever you are doing currently also, right? So more of that we cover in our sessions, and that is actually called the life purpose too. Does it answer your question, Neelu?
Radha, I hope that answers that. Interestingly, while you were responding to her, Vijay, you mentioned Einstein's name, and earlier when you had given such an example and Maradona example, Radha had actually written saying, yeah, like Einstein participating in a beauty competition.
Beautiful.
So Radha, I hope that answers that for you. And yes, and there's the word we've been hearing about. There's been a post on the group. I also have to mention it. Chromatophobia. I did not know this. Okay, Vijay, till I didn't speak. I had no idea there was something called the fear of money. How do you fear money? Why do you fear money?
Yes, fear of money is one of the biggest fears. People who don't have money, definitely by logic, by common sense, by logic, they would fear because if there is no money, and they are fearing because there is no money, isn't it? People who have more money, they have that insecurity. That fear is actually termed as insecurity. And both these things are called chromatophobia. And there are so many, suicides happen. Of course, not the relationship suicide, but the monetary suicides which happen due to monetary reasons. They do not happen that those people have got completely bankrupt and have no resources. But it is here that chromatophobia has striked. It is here in the mind that they feel that I will not be able to bounce back. That suicide happens. Although there are still lakhs there in the bank balance, but then the suicide happens because of that. Even people having money fear, and those not having money to fear. Chromatophobia is a major block in our path towards prosperity and abundance. Until the time this is not clear, a lot of our time, energy, healings actually go into waste because fear, as Gandhiji says, fear is man's biggest enemy. So till the time it doesn't go away, even today, if you see, isn't that there a natural kind of a fear कि अगर पैसा नहीं होगा तो क्या होगा? Lockdown में there are so many people who became so insecure. Of course, there is money back, but then why they're insecure is that there is a fear of future. What will happen if there is no money? Isn't it? If this goes on for long, what will happen? So that is chromatophobia. Money is a spiritual teacher, and we'll get to that a bit later. And many life challenges will now revolve around money.
And I would like to honestly admit, in that case, then I've definitely been through this. I might not have admitted it to myself as a word, but now that you mention, you know, that it is what we commonly call insecurity. I know I know I have been through this, and I'm openly admitting to the fact, and I have had chromatophobia at some
And
stages in life.
absolutely, and
I've
thank you,
definitely
Neelu,
had.
so much, because the first step to grow is to know, isn't it? That is where Saraswati lies. The first step is to know yourself that this is my block. But then there are many people who are in denial. नहीं, मुझे तो नहीं, मुझे कोई डर नहीं है. I don't have any fear. It is there that the universe even cannot help you because you're not admitting the fact that this thing is there within you, isn't it? And then the eighth point, the eighth major block is inability to let go, and it is so very important. Many of us are so very deeply attached to the past, so very deeply attached to the past, isn't it? When you cannot let go of the past, how can a new future be born? We just pray day in, day out. I want a new future. I want a new life. I want a new life. But then you're not ready subconsciously, unconsciously to let go of the past. How can there be a new future? Isn't it? Some things which are not required in your domain, which are still there, now need to be released. Because it is only then that the space will get created for the good to come in, for the prosperity to come in. Till the time the lack or insecurity is not done with. Letting go is the ability of leaving the unrequired and acquiring the new, right? When you cannot let go of what holds you back, you cannot embrace what will take you forward,
Right.
isn't it?
Right.
And that is where we need to understand where we are today, what are the blocks, and what blocks need to be removed, and not just have that parrot prayer. You know what is a parrot prayer, Neetu? The parrot prayer is anytime you see a deity, anytime you come across an idol, anytime you come across probably someone who can help you. I have this problem. I have this problem. I want money. I want money. I want success. It is a parrot prayer, but then there is actually a technique to praying, an exact technique. Everything is a science. Spirituality is also a science. There is a science behind how to pray. We of course take that in a higher sessions, but then the parrot prayer is going to take us nowhere, isn't it?
Right.
When you cannot let go of scarcity, how can you be prosperous? The first thing whenever we pray is always we need to pray as to what is the block in me that needs to be released at this time to attract more abundance in my life. But then sadly, what we do is that we actually get into I want money, I want money, I want money. But this is a magnetic universe. We have all read the secret book, we have all read the law of attraction. You have to be absolutely specific, isn't it?
Right.
So